So now that the Devastator comic has come out and we know that the Batman Who Laughs is the next comic coming up in the one-shots, the tie-ins for Dark Knight's Metal, what I wanted to do is take a moment to sit down and talk about maybe 2, possibly 3 theories that have kind of cropped up since the Dark Knight's Metal 3 video. And I want to do a quick shout out to a few of Earth's mightiest subscribers, because some of you are responsible for some of the alternate theories that I have about who the Batman Who Laughs is. But before we do that, hit me up in the comments with any other ideas for, comic book related videos and comic book movie related videos even that you want me to touch on. I mean, I have a lot of ideas, but I want to put out content that you guys want to watch. So that's going to be the easiest way for me to do that, is by you all reaching out to me and telling me what you want to see. Also, if you haven't already done so, consider clicking subscribe, so that way you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers, just like the people I mentioned earlier, and make sure you tap that bell button so you make sure you don't miss any content that I put out. So let's go ahead and jump into it. These have actually been suggested by multiple subscribers. So I just want to give a shout out to a couple of you: Soda Renfro, John Paul BT, and Ben Hudson. Okay, so basically what it's going to come down to, and these are some theories that have been thrown around, and I've even thrown these out here myself, and I've heard some variations on them. So one of the more common theories that I've been hearing is that, and there's evidence to support this, is that the Batman Who Laughs may come from an Earth that is essentially a negative multiverse, dark multiverse version of the A Death in the Family timeline, like a timeline where Batman was more heavily affected by A Death in the Family, the death of Jason Todd, than any other Earth. Which makes sense when you think about it, because you got to look at the fact that the Batman Who Laughs, his pet Robins, they all kind of flutter about constantly saying crow over and over and over again, and the Batman Who Laughs always finishes it with bar. I mean, so that makes sense. Not to mention, these particular Robins aren't that much unlike in appearance, maybe a little bit more gangly looking, but not that unlike the appearance of the Jason Todd Robin. So, I mean, that's yet another thing to kind of consider there. So, I mean, there's some very strong evidence for that. And, I mean, we know throughout the years that A Death in the Family affected Batman more than just about any other event in his comic book history. So, why not let that be the case? And the reason why I'm thinking a lot of this, too, in case you're wondering, why would it be a callback to any of these specific story arcs, is because in the Red Death, we learn that the Earth that Red Death comes from is essentially the Dark Knight Returns. And if you don't believe me, go back and look at that one shot. There's a scene where we clearly see the mutants, the mutant gang from Dark Knight's Return. Even the Batmobile that he uses against the Flash is not that different than the Batmobile, the huge tank Batmobile from the Dark Knight Returns. So that's kind of opening up the floodgates to the possibilities of, these different classic, iconic Batman story arcs to bleed into Dark Knight's Metal. On the other end of things, we should probably even consider the fact that the Batman Who Laughs isn't from the Dark Multiverse. I mean, he likely is. It is something to consider just mostly because of the fact that, he travels the Dark Multiverse and the general multiverse so freely. Now, granted, he is doing this most likely through the power of Barbados, but I kind of wonder about that. Like, that is something that's kind of crossed my mind. It seems kind of like an interesting theory that maybe he is kind of like the Batman from, and this is where one of my other theories kind of crept in too, the Batman from The Killing Joke. And actually, I'm kind of leaning more heavily on The Killing Joke, but I won't lie. One of the comments from Renfro made me think a little bit differently and kind of has me leaning more on A Death in the Family, but I'm still kind of leaning on The Killing Joke just as heavily. Like, I'm kind of split on. I'm like, honestly, I would be excited and happy if it was either one of them. But the reason why I say The Killing Joke is because, the whole point of The Killing Joke was to prove that anybody can have a bad day and become like the Joker. And that is something the Joker has been trying to do for the longest time, is to corrupt Batman, to get him to go over the line, to step over that imaginary line that separates him from being like the criminals that he goes after. What's also got me thinking about this even more is especially when you go and like look into the books like The White Knight and, you know, seeing, you know, Jack Napier, you know, turn over a new leaf. It kind of makes you wonder, like that whole flip-flop, you know, kind of thing. Even though I don't think White Knight has anything one to do with Dark Knight's Metal, but, you know, still, I think it's an interesting theory to see maybe this is a Batman who fell prey to the Joker in The Killing Joke and came around to the Joker's way of thinking. Now, that being said, he likely killed that Joker in return, but but you know, I'm very curious to see how some of these stories end up actually playing out. At the end of the day, I'd be happy either way, no matter how it falls down. But I will say I am thinking that a death in the family and killing Joke are probably the most likely scenarios, like as far as like, you know, sources for where the Batman Who Laughs comes from. Now, we will find out very quickly. I want to say that it will be November the 15th when it comes out. It will be the next one-shot, so, I mean, and he's the last one. I don't know if they're going to do one. I don't think they're going to do one for Barbados himself, because I'm pretty sure that'll just be sussed out in Dark Knight's Metal once we get, you know, that far along. But I'm really curious to see how Barbados won him over, or how it even came to be. Like, because, I mean, for the most part, you know, the Batman Who Laughs is the one who's been recruiting all the Nightmare Batmen, and he seems to be the most genuinely in tune with the dark multiverse and understands how it works, as he is the one who explains how it works to all the other characters. And he has information, like he has very in-depth and intimate information about what's going on in the positive universe, which is kind of what also makes me wonder if he's not from the dark multiverse at all. So, like I said, we'll find out soon enough. But, you know, that being said, I really like this character, and I'm really curious to see where he goes, especially in light of the news that he will potentially be the character. You know, because I've kind of talked about how, man, I really wish some of these Nightmare Batmen would hang around. Well, apparently the Batman Who Laughs is probably going to be the one who gets that wish fulfillment, because there's already been some rumblings in the comic book community that good old TBWL will be hanging around for the long haul. So, really curious to see where it goes. Thank you so much for watching this video, and let me know what you all think about, you know, let me know about any more theories you all have about, you know, the Batman Who Laughs and what his origin actually is, or what it will be, rather. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, and you want to see more awesome videos like this one, click subscribe, so that way you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers, and make sure to tap that bell button so you don't miss any of the videos that I put out. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Plus Ultra.